everyone, I'm Madalyn Sklar. I'm the host of the Social ROI Chat, and I'm here today with our incredible guest, Lisa Beyer. Lisa, welcome to the After Chat. How are you?
Hi, I feel like I'm coming back to life and getting back to normal routine after being through, feels like I've been in a black hole for a week with the hurricane.
Yeah, I really appreciate you being available to come on. Listen, I just went through that 2 weeks ago here in Houston, so I know exactly what you're going through right now. I am so glad that you're safe and that you're able to share all this incredible knowledge today. We had a great topic, PR in the age of social media, and you just you over-delivered. I mean, those value bombs were incredible today. There were so many that I couldn't even keep up with. I was usually I get a few good nuggets that we can talk about in the after chat, and every single thing you tweeted, Lisa, was phenomenal. Tell us a little bit about yourself before we start.
So I come from a traditional public relations background. So I was doing PR pre-digital. And then I all of a sudden got caught up in that whole .com burst with the internet and .com companies. So my agency had to be on a very fast track of figuring things out, and campaigns went from 1 year to 1 week or a month. So that's really how I got my hands in digital and figuring out things very quickly. And so early adapter to search, early adapter to social media, and bringing social and search into the public relations strategy. So that's really my whole angle. But it's still, brands are still not really doing what they should be doing to really take advantage of this. So it's still an education process. So I wrote a book called Social PR Secrets, which I use to help educate. I speak at conferences, I do consulting, and I also teach a class at University of Florida, which I love, which hopefully you'll be my guest to talk about more about Twitter chats and your expertise.
I would love that. Sure. Count me in.
So that's where I am. And actually from the hurricane, I had to clean out our garage so we could fit both of our cars in the garage. So we were talking about press kits on the chat. So I found my old press kits.
You did?
Yeah. And so this is what's so funny, literally just this weekend. So this is what one of them looked like. It's a folder, and then inside is
all your stuff,
all the printed materials, and then here's a press clipping book, and this was the ROI, right?
Right.
And
that
it's
is
just
old school. Old school. I love it.
Old school. So I just found this thanks to the hurricane. So everything happens for a reason. I wouldn't have even had these to show you.
Well, I came from the music business. So in the music business, it was all about traditional press kits. I started my music organization in 1996. And when I think back to all that bulky paper-based press kits to go in digital, I mean, think of how many trees we've saved. I mean, it would be staggering.
Right. Yeah. Everything's much more efficient. So I asked the question. I mean, I don't really know of a brand that actually uses press kits anymore. I mean,
I have no idea. Who does?
Right.
I mean, it would be a cool old school. You tweeted something about that, right? Prediction with, old school.
Yeah, I do think that with everything just so digitally diluted in some ways. I mean, we have to be digital, we have to be social, but also there's so much clutter out there that the old school press release, printing something or a handwritten note or sending out a physical something to somebody. The only problem right now is that, same with pitching a reporter, a journalist, there's no more Bacons. Remember the Bacons media directories where you would look up a number? Now journalists really use their mobile phone probably, and there's not a desk phone. There's not a way to really call until you have that super personal relationship. So finding the address to send the press kit would be the you can't just look it up like you used to. But I do think there's going to be some retro stuff happening that, it's going to be the way things used to be in a new way. Just like fashion.
Right, exactly. Now, when we were at the start of the chat, we were talking about how PR's changed so much and the evolution from that traditional press kit you just showed us to what we see today. And one of your responses was about how PR now has a level playing field. And, same thing back in those early days in 1996 when I was doing web design and I was designing brands' very first presence. But then you had the one-man operation whose website looked just as great as the big brand. So same, that applies with PR as well. So like the level, like as you said, the field is now level. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So, the good part is that technology is not expensive like it used to be. So you don't need to have $20,000 or $100,000 to build a beautiful website. You can pretty much do a beautiful website on a very, very small budget, even sometimes for free. You can even just have a Facebook page and start out without a website. So it's very easy to have a presence, large or small brand, and brands have more control. And sometimes it's even easier for a small brand to have more control than a large brand because all the red tape is cut out. So you can just as easily create a relationship on Twitter with the journalist, start connecting with them. And it's almost like, the journalist sometimes wants to talk to the smaller brand to get the inside story of how this, what's really happening in the industry, because there's so much politics that happen with large brands and you're not really talking to the real source. So I just feel like, you can have a Twitter handle, you can have a Facebook page, you can have an Instagram account, and you can create your own story and break your own news and get into the bigger stories much easier.
Yeah, how all that works these days. Shout out to those with us. I see in the chat room we got they're here with us. You mentioned in the chat the biggest mistake in PR, it doesn't matter. That was a response. Can you elaborate a little bit if you maybe?
Sure. So I don't know if you're kind of cutting out a little. I don't know if my audio is, but so what I meant by that is that, there's so many different reports you can create every month if you have a client and you're a PR agency or even an internal PR department. So you can make anything look good. Okay, we got this many likes this month. That looks better than how much web traffic we got. So you have to decide as a team what you're going to measure and consistently measure the same thing that everybody agrees on each month. So what I find is that, you're just measuring what really doesn't matter. It's really what makes you look good that month. So it's kind of an ego thing too. What does the boss want to see? What's going to make him feel good versus what really matters for the business.
Right. Absolutely. What the question? You hear me okay? I'm going hurricane. So let me know if I'm cutting out right now.
Cutting out a little bit.
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
okay.
I can hear you.
Okay, so question number 3, we're just describing a campaign. What does that look like? Can you were talking about the Purina Kitten campaign. Can you talk a little bit about?
Yeah, so BuzzFeed was really, they were way ahead of the game a couple of years ago, and now everybody's kind of doing the BuzzFeed videos and the BuzzFeed headlines and the BuzzFeed type of stories and the list stories and all that. But basically what they did is they took, instead of doing this commercial or a product press release about whatever the Purina product was for cats, they turned it into a story, and a very compassionate story. And for whatever reason, I don't know if this was an accident or not, but cats work really well on Twitter, so that I don't think hurt. But they were just able to really parlay that into just a video. They posted it on YouTube, and then they turned it into a story for BuzzFeed. BuzzFeed produced it for them, and they created so much media attention for the creativeness of that video that it brought them the attention that they couldn't have put a value on that if they did just an ad for it. And I was at a conference a couple weeks ago, and this really stuck with me. It was actually a virtual reality conference that I was at. Kathy Hackle was one of the speakers, and the Microsoft mixed reality speaker, she said that creativity is the new productivity. And I believe for public relations, creativity is the new PR productivity. If you want to be productive and successful, you have to be creative. You have to stand out. And whether that's a super creative video or a filter on an image that's just taking that image and making it pop so the journalist looks at it or your audience looks at it. I mean, it doesn't have to be a multi-million-dollar project. It just needs to be creative and stand out.
Right. It's the ones that are super creative, telling a great story. In chat, I was watching the Purina measure the ROI of PR campaigns.
Say that again. How do you measure the ROI?
Measure ROI of PR campaigns. So
measuring the return on investment, I think you have to, like I said earlier, set what are the key performance indicators. So for the video with Purina, was it views, YouTube views? Was it how much story coverage you actually received? So I think that what happens is that there's just not one silver bullet for what the ROI is going to be. So you can't just move from one client to the next or one brand to the next and say everybody's ROI is going to be the same criteria. Everybody has different sets of ROI, and maybe if it's just branding, it's how many mentions they had on Twitter or how many mentions their hashtag had on Twitter. So I think, it's going to be an overall an overall ROI, but then it also might be these micro social ROIs where it's the overall campaign's return on investment. And then it's also parts of the campaign have different ROIs that lead to the larger one.
Yeah, and you had said in the chat that the biggest mistake PR and social media is measuring what does not matter.
Correct.
And that turned into a bit of a frenzy on the chat. Everybody was like, oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah, because it's a game. PR has a bad reputation. Let's face it. So does SEO, and in some ways, so does social media, and so does online marketing in some ways, because, it's like a secret language, and you have to really educate yourself if you aren't educated in, let's say, public relations or social media or SEO, and at least know the lingo and be able to tell the difference between who's real and who's not. So you can hire a PR agency or you can have a PR department that's giving you these awesome looking reports, but if it's really not matching with your business goals and objectives, you're going to know that sooner or later, and you're going to say, okay, what are they really doing for me?
Right. And we got a question from asking, can you see that up here?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Can you answer that for her? I'm trying not to talk too much since my audio just went out.
Okay, so it's how do you think today's PR professors need to stay updated in teaching a PR, gain more professional experience? I think yes. I think it's very hard for educators and ones that, academia that are really just in the education world and not out there working to stay in the loop. But I think it's easier now because there's ways that universities are becoming more social and using social to their advantage. And I think going to conferences that are outside of the box, that aren't necessarily PR conferences, nothing against PRSA, but PRSA is only talking about PR. So public relations needs to go to a search marketing conference that only talks about search marketing and go to a social media conference that only talks about social media, because the PR professors and professionals will have these huge aha moments with, wow, look how much I can do for my clients that I didn't realize, and really stand out. So I think just going to these niche-y, go to the next augmented reality conference, you're going to get ideas on what you can teach your students or bring to your clients from a PR perspective.
Right. And let me see if I can pull this up. A lot that Stacy wrote here, but she said that they were just talking about this at GoDaddy, where she works at, with the metrics. I don't think she really has a question in here. I think she's just kind of voicing what you were saying.
Right. And it's fine to look at all of these things that aren't necessarily your main level of KPIs, but you just have to not get caught up. How many different reports can we look at every single day from every channel,
Sure.
Every platform? And you just, when I do a lot of social media audits, and it's really saying, okay, how can we match up your social media with your PR and get it more aligned? And how do you really know what the KPIs are? And I just say, keep those reports so simple, because there's really probably 2 or 3 things that matter. You don't have to show these huge spreadsheets with layers of tabs. The CEO is not going to know what he's looking at or she's looking at, hopefully she's looking at. Sorry,
keep it simple. What is that? The KISS, keep it simple, stupid, right?
Yeah.
So let's wind this down. Tell everybody about your book. Why did you write it? Show us the book.
Yeah, so a copy of it. So this is, it's called Social PR Secrets. It's in its 3rd edition, and Guy Kawasaki wrote the foreword to it. And I'm actually going to have to write a 4th edition. But it really just brings together public relations, social media, and search marketing, and how a brand, big or small, can optimize the 3 together to get more publicity and get more reach. And it's very actionable. There's not a lot of things in there that anybody can do it. It's just, you just have to pick out what's going to be best, what are the nuggets that are going to work best for your brand, and apply them.
Awesome.
So there's a chapter on Instagram, there's a chapter on Twitter, a chapter on Snapchat, all the channels, and how to leverage it for PR.
That is awesome. Well, congrats on this book. I mean, it sounds like you've been doing great with that, and we appreciate you being here with us, and glad that you're safe with the storm. How can people best get in touch with you? I'm going to post your Twitter in the comments here.
Sure. So Twitter is great. Connect with me on LinkedIn. I have a blog called Social PR Chat, and the book that I'm writing next is called Digital Detox Secrets, and it's how to balance your work-life balance in this digitally dominated world, which we all need that. Yeah. So I'm writing it to help myself and help everybody else too.
So can you give us like a little peek into that? Tell us a little bit more about it.
Yeah, sure. So it's really looking at how to create space in your digital life for opportunity. And it looks at your work life, it looks at your home life, it looks at your social life. And everything is very, we're in a 24/7 world. We really don't go anywhere without our phone. There's actually a term for it called nomophobia, that you can't be without your phone. And it shows you how to use your phone to actually take a breath and take a break, and how to use your phone to also do your work, but balancing the 2.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here with us. I'm still like in overload from your, they were so good. Like every tweet you put out, Lisa, was so good. And I hope everybody really enjoyed that today, because it was quite a treat for us. And we'll be back again next week with another awesome chat. So until then, we'll see you back on Twitter. Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Bye.